with me tonight?
Riding shotgun as always. What's happening?
Hey, welcome to another great episode of The Unfiltered Truth. Sorry, running a little bit behind time. Had a little bit of technical difficulties on my part. That's my bad. How you guys doing tonight? We have a lot to talk about. Oh my gosh, I know it's about time. Rich, I'm sorry, I am to blame for this time. We jumped on TV time this day. How are you guys holding up during the whole
Quarantine.
quarantine,
Lockdown in California.
I know it's not easy on some folks, but I hope you guys are doing all well.
Absolutely. Hey, it's rough out here in California. The streets are a ghost town. Freeways are empty. Rush hour traffic has never been this good ever. Gas is coming down. I mean, there's some silver linings. There's some silver linings here if you care to look for them. It looks to me like the natural balance of the world is restoring itself, and all this crap that's been way overpriced and way unnecessary and just good old basic human decency looks like it's making a comeback.
Yeah, man, that's real. I mean, then you did have some idiots down in Florida for spring break, and I don't know, some of them got sick. I hope they all get well. But
dumbasses.
But other than that, look, we gotta get into some Raider talk right now. I mean, literally. So we finally get the contract details for Malik Collins. It can get up to about 2 years on his contract. He has about $5.75 million in guaranteed money.
Mm-hmm.
He can make up to about 7.5 mil, and basically incentives like getting a certain amount of tackles, sacks. Once that happens, he's looking at a second year on the contract.
Well, that's more of a let's be real about this, Phil. That second year is more of kind of like an insurance placeholder. This is the prove it year. If he's good enough to earn a second year with this team, the chances are he's going to be getting a fat raise too.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And you know what the contract kind of reminds me? It reminds me a little bit like how they were going to have Brandon Marshall's contract.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're going to use that method with a few of their players, I mean, by all means, do it. It kind of saves your ass. It doesn't get you locked in a contract that you don't want to be in for the following year.
Right. Absolutely. And what they've done with this free agency more than anything, because it was something that had escaped my attention, is that there's no signing bonus money. They literally are getting people in for guaranteed salaries. The only person who got a signing bonus was Nelson Aguilar, and I believe it was like $134,000 to round out his $910,000 salary into a little over $1 million.
I got here saying Tom Delaney is a badass. That's a deal that he did. That's great.
Yeah, Tom Delaney been putting in work. Him and his numbers. They gave him some ugly set of parameters, I guess. At some point, somebody needs to figure out what's going on with the Raiders' finances, because I could have sworn that by selling their practice facility back at 10 times what they bought it for, they wouldn't be having these cash-strapped issues that continue to be brought up. A stadium that's already been paid for, I find it hard to believe with revenue sharing that the Raiders have no money.
Yeah.
This is a recurring thing that we keep hearing, and you want to say that it's not true. You look at the business of the NFL, and it's like, where is the money going? Are we distributing this evenly through ownership, and the ownership group as a whole is not reinvesting into the product, or what's going on here? Because they're making money hand over fist in the NFL, and it boggles my mind that one team could just be out of it.
Yeah.
Questions for a different time. We're burying the lead here, Philip. Mr. Marcus Jones, we need to talk about
Mariota's contract details.
That's right. Mariota's contract details were very interesting, and the way that it was phrased was something that actually had skipped past me the first time I read it, because I was like, wait a minute, hold on. Maybe I misread that. Mariota is getting a shit ton of incentives. $2.4 million for 60% of the snaps during the season. That's a big indication of what exactly they expect him to do. They don't expect him to be on the bench for very long, if he's on the bench at all. Because when you offer somebody nearly $2.5 million for 60% of the season, that means that the starting quarterback, either he's going to start or the starting quarterback is going to be on a real short hook. What do you think, Phil?
I'm going to be real. For that amount of census to come up to about $37 million, still, I mean, you got to be real. Yeah, it's to compete. And, he wins the starting job, then you're going to get, some sort of, it's not really starter money. Like, you got a lot of NFL quarterbacks making, but it's better than what a backup's making,
He's got a $12 million, not a $12 million, a $27 million kicker. No, it is a $12 million kicker if he makes it to 2021. That should be. So you're talking about $17.6 million guaranteed money that can jump all the way up to 37.5, double, more than double if he hits incentives, goes to the playoffs, Super Bowl, i.e., is on the roster and active 60% of the time, and some other natural incentives. But I gotta believe too, and that's, yes, it's still a genius contract, another win for Delaney. But if Mariota comes in and kills it and goes to the Super Bowl, he's getting a new deal anyway.
Yeah.
So, continue.
What it all comes down to is what's going to happen during this current time during the off season. Most likely, you're going to have John Gruden and staff sending these free agents playbooks to look over, study over what they need to go over and whatnot. And then once they get the chance to come out, and it's going to be kind of like a training camp. I don't know. Is it going to be? Will they end up getting a chance to do like their mini camps? It's still a possibility, but hey, we come down to that point, we're going to be looking at, there's competition between those two.
And it's going to be a long, lengthy competition, because for the amount of incentives and the amount of guarantees that Marcus Mariota got to be a backup quarterback, it looks to me that he is going to get every opportunity to take that job.
Yeah.
Which I cannot say has been the case in years past, but definitely in 2020, he's going to have every opportunity to take that job.
So Kevin asked us a question. He said, does Derek Carr get contract number 3?
No. So here, let me hold back on that, and let me say this.
I'll put it like this. Well, let me get on it real quick, and then I'm gonna hit you with it.
Okay.
So it's right in between. It's 50-50. If Derek Carr does get that third contract, but I think it'll be somewhere around like an extension. But right now, you're not looking at it, because the fact that they had to bring in another quarterback to bring in confidence, to have you light a fire under his ass, I can't reward that. I can't reward you with another contract for right now. I got to see what you can do during the season right now. So right now, I'm going to say no, but I'm gonna drop it off on you and hear what you got to say.
Does he get a third contract at this point? No, because you got to stop. As much as we've been clamoring for his release and for him to move on, be traded, and all of that other good stuff, he's still got 2 more years. He's still got 2 more years on this deal. He's got this year. He's got this year and next year. He may only count for $7 million in dead money next year, which is why everybody says cut him then. But he's still making five. Excuse me. But it's $5 million. But he's still getting paid $20 million. That salary's not going anywhere. There is no need whatsoever if he goes out and tears it up this year to suddenly up and offer him a new contract, because he's still under contract for $20 million next season.
Here's the other thing. You have Daniel Jeremiah coming out and saying that expect the Raiders to draft a quarterback this year. So if you're having that chatter right now, and I mean, yeah, everybody can say that there was that sort of chatter going on last year, but this is definite, legit chatter where it's like, well, they're looking at a quarterback. I mean, we did speak about that they were looking at grabbing a quarterback this year.
How many times?
Multiple times.
Like how many different quarterbacks? Even ironed it down. Pretty much ironed it down to 2. And I feel like I could say it with confidence. And at this stage and where they are with the options that are available to them, they're either going to draft Jalen Hurts or Jordan Love. And my money would be on Jalen Hurts. He's going to be available longer. He has the pedigree that Mayock loves from Alabama guys. He's a champion. He's come back off the bench. He's done it as a quarterback. He went to Oklahoma to learn how to throw the football and run an offense. And if you listen to him talk to the press, he's got a real edge to him. Kind of prickish, but which has got to just tickle the bottom of John Gruden's balls.
So check this out. So if you do release Derek Carr next year, you're only facing $2.5 million in dead cap, and you're saving over $19 million.
Right. That's if you hold on. Yeah, hold on. So that's if you release him. We're not even talking about if you release him. What's his cap number?
His cap number for next year?
Yeah, what's his cap number? That's the more important number.
His cap number for 2021 would be $22 million.
Hardly an expensive option in today's NFL.
No, it's not. I mean, because if you look at it, you're looking at guys trying to get over
40. Trying to get 40.
Trying to get on the average about 35 mil?
Yeah. 30 to 35. That's where everybody's shooting for. Or that's where you're.
If you look at it with him right now, currently, he has by far one of the cheapest starting quarterback deals in the NFL.
Now let's stop and let's pause for a second, because for all the shit that everybody gives Reggie McKenzie, how smart does Reggie look right now?
Reggie's looking like, hey, I leave you a parting gift. So it's not, even though you look at what Reggie's done, and you're just like, well, damn, Reggie kind of screwed us with this, and that. But when you look at the way Derek Carr's contract is set up, it's more of a, hey, if I was still going to be there and, if he wasn't the answer going into Vegas,
get rid of him. Wouldn't cost you anything.
Or if you let go of him, you're not going to face a lot of dead cap. If you look at some other contracts, like let's say Matt Ryan's contracts, or you look at Matthew Stafford's contract, you're like, damn, you can't get out of it. Or shit, I'll say, look how Nick Foles' contract was when he was with the Jaguars. That was a hot mess.
And they still managed to get out of that deal.
I don't know how else by the grace of God.
I mean, I was just like, I wouldn't have traded for that. I would have said at that point, y'all owe me some draft picks for taking this cap hit off of you.
That's real.
But
that is real with a passion.
Yeah, that contract was supremely out of whack, and it was in its second year. He hadn't even started in it. He hadn't even played 16 games. He got all that. He got all that money for what? 7 games?
That was a hot mess.
That was a heist. He got all the money he should have got from Philadelphia after he won the Super Bowl.
So that all being said,
technical. I'm excited. I mean, let me say this under no uncertain terms. I am excited for because one of two outcomes is going to happen. The number one outcome that's going to happen, more likely than not, Derek Carr is going to get yanked, and we're going to finally see. And Raider Nation is finally going to see, was it Carr or was it the team? And that's been the great divide. Or the second option is that Mariota being in camp is finally going to get Derek Carr to elevate his game. And it's going to make a difference, and it's finally going to be Derek getting us over the hump to the promised land and getting us to where we want to go. And that's going to be equally good, because my concern, what I want to see more than anything else, is victory, a commitment to excellence, getting out of the shadows and the tradition of losing and being a bum that you've seen for the last 25 years. I want to see winning. I want to see excellence. I want to see Raiders be great again. That's what I want to say. I don't care who's the quarterback as long as they're playing well.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's where it all comes down to. I mean, yeah, Carr is going to be who he is, but I think everybody's just like.
And let me rephrase playing well, because you can look at stats, and you can make stats say anything that you want them to say. You can take the stats and make them look good. I can take the same numbers and make them look horrible. But the end of the road is this: there is only one stat that matters, and that is the win and loss column. And if you're not coming out with more W's than you are L's, then something needs to change. Period.
That's real. And look, and it really is. And like I'm looking at some of the comments right here. You know, Gary Daniels said it. He hit the nail. Stats are for losers. Everybody wants to jump on this whole stat thing. But one stat that you always hear that everybody wants to be in denial about is that win-loss record.
That's right. Nobody, it's all of a sudden that win-loss record, nobody wants to take ownership of it when it's bad. When it's good.
Here's the other thing. Everybody jump back and forth with that, but they're so quick to say, well, you know, he had so many game-winning drives. He had, he had so many four-quarter comebacks. So right there, in that terminology, you're leaning toward the win-loss column right there.
I'll take it a step further and tell you this. When you're talking about fourth quarter comebacks and game-winning drives, what that tells me is that you're consistently playing from behind.
Yeah, and that's a lot.
That's a lot. You're talking about all these comebacks. It sounds good. Well, yeah, he came back in the fourth quarter. What were you doing for the other 3? Why can't you play from ahead? And then if you really want to take it another step forward and really go that distance, because we do that here on the Unfiltered Truth, you take the amount of fourth quarter comebacks and game-winning drives that you have, and then you divide it by his complete win percentage, and that's half his wins.
Hold on, I just want to point this out. I'm looking at what Ed Marshall just literally said, what we've been screaming through this entire offseason, what we screamed last year. Complementary football.
At all times.
Complimentary football. And you know what? Kansas City did the same shit.
Their defense was horrible up until the time where they needed them to bow up the most, and when they needed them the most, they were there.
Yes.
And that's all it really comes down to, because you can look at statistics, and statistically, Kansas City's defense was terrible. Bad against the run, bad against the pass, and but at the end of it, when it mattered most, they were getting it done.
And that's all that matters. You see that the offense is getting it done, your defense like shit. They did their job, let's do our job. I mean, to be honest, you kind of look at that with how the Patriots used to run certain things, complimentary football. Because the Patriots, for a time, their defense wasn't all that. They were giving up the most yards and all whatnot. So, offense does a good job. You light a fire under the defense and spark them up like, hey, shit, we got to win this. Offense just scored 2 touchdowns. We need to hold this together.
Or even better, when your defense is standing on its head and your offense is going 3 and outs consistently, at some point the offense has got to realize that, hey, the defense is keeping us in it. We need to go out here and get it done, hit a big play, or maybe not quite hit a big play, but at least sustain the drive and maybe give them a chance to catch their breath, so that if we can't get it done, at least maybe they can go out and get a turnover and continue to bail us out, since they've been holding it down all game long.
And, here's the other thing about it, I think about Tennessee's defense. Tennessee wasn't like a number 1 defense. They worked as a collective unit. It was basically complimentary football with them. Offense got the job done. Defense just needed to make sure these guys go 3 and out.
3 and out, play good pass defense, and get after the quarterback. Your run defense can be suspect, because as long as you can get after the quarterback and force turnovers, you can give up running yards in the clock. You just can't give up chunks and touchdowns.
And the key thing everybody is saying in the chat room, and I'm glad they're saying this, shit, bend don't break.
That's right.
Bend don't break. Shit.
Bend don't break. 3 points does not kill you. 6 points will.
And here's one thing Gary Daniels just said. I like this. I'm going to just read this for you guys real quick. The Raiders gave up, let me pull it one time. Here we go. Gave up 20 or fewer points the last 3 games. Yes, lost 2 of them.
What did they go? A 5-game stretch, 5-6 game stretch where they put up 21 points in the second half cumulatively? Not even 21. I think it was 12. One was the 9 points in Kansas City, and then the 6 points in Kansas City for the touchdown, and then 2 field goals over a course of 6 games, over probably, minus take away the Chiefs, the 5 worst teams in the NFL. Shut them down in the second half.
And, here's my thing. Look, you know what every one of these quarterbacks this past year did that got in the playoffs?
Ran.
And when it mattered the most?
Ran.
What? You said it
ran. Tucked it and ran and got what they could with their legs. That's how the Texans beat the Raiders. That's how the Titans beat the Raiders. That's how the Chiefs beat the Raiders. Was the quarterback in a crunch time making a clutch play, tucking the ball, taking off, getting what he could, or even taking it all the way to the house.
And see, that's the thing, It's also the decision making. It's when they do it. It's like, shit, I could run all game, and then when that one moment I don't run, it could screw me over. But, it comes down to 3rd and 5, I'm going to run, take off, and try to get as much as possible.
And it's not even just that, Phil, because you know what? There are very few plays that can spark an offense like watching your quarterback take off and run. Rich Gannon wasn't very fast. He wasn't young. But when he took off and he got you 5 to 10 yards, maybe even 12, or managed to tuck it and really get to galloping for about a 20, 25-yarder, the offense is juiced afterwards. Everybody's ready to make a play. Everybody's trying to say, okay, it's my turn now. Just give me the ball. Feed me. Nobody doing it. There's none of that. That doesn't help out the offense. That's killing drives and deflating egos and spirits. Defense has been holding it down. Now they're like, what the hell's the offense doing? You start infighting, or not. I don't know if necessarily they infought or not, but there are, at some point there will be some hard feelings for that, and some things will be said. Well, we won't hear about it. It'll be locker room stuff, of course, but that type of stuff absolutely does happen, especially when your offense is playing badly and the defense is the one getting all the critique, if you will.
Nah, that's real. And I'm just looking at these comments. Everybody's like, Carr only ran for about like 82 yards or something. And you look at a guy like him.
And how many fumbles to touchdowns? I bet you got more fumbles than he had touchdowns.
Since you said fumbles, you know that Derek Carr has led quarterbacks in fumbles since 2014.
But we like to clown those hand measurements, though.
He got little baby hands, but Oh wow!
What was
Y'all
that?
are hilarious in this chat room tonight. I'm loving it. Here's the other thing. For someone that ran a 4.6.
So
Yeah,
timed by the NFL, time. So it's not even like he lied about it. They legit timed him at a 4.69.
You mean to tell me your ass does not want to run on 3rd and 2? No, you run backwards and throw it into the ground, but on 3rd and 2, shit, bootleg, roll to the side. You can run to that sideline and manage the ball getting 2 yards. You stick. Well, I don't know about him sticking that arm out.
Jones, listen, bro. Listen, I'm gonna tell you something, and this is gonna be the realest thing you ever heard. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
That 4.69 that he ran in the combine was the fastest run of his life. That was it. He picked the right moment to have his personal record and run the fastest he's ever ran in his life.
That's the fastest he ran
in his life. Because if you go back and you look at how fast, I bet you if you did one of those time lapse like they do and put how fast he runs now versus how fast he ran that 40, he would ghost himself in the 40.
Oh, God.
I mean, it had to be said, Phil. It had to be said,
Oh, man. Oh, God. Do not bring up Paul Gunther right now.
Oh, Lord. Oh, my goodness. Goodness gracious.
My man might just, if you ain't blocked by both Carr brothers, you ain't a real one on Twitter.
I try not to get blocked by anybody, to be honest with you, but let's talk about Paulie G. There was a tweet that came out. I forgot, was it Adam Kaplan, I believe, who tweeted it out, that said that as Chris Harris had made a comment about liking what the Chargers had going on defense, we thought that it was a slight against the Raiders. A couple days pass, and we come to find out that Chris Harris wanted the freedom to move all over the place and wanted to play the slot. And the reason why he didn't sign with the Raiders was because Paul Gunther told him that LaMarcus Joyner was going to be the slot guy and occupying the slot. and so he was only going to be able to do the outside, and that was a deal breaker for Chris Harris.
What?
You didn't see that?
Right, I'm an essential worker, doing this whole madness, so I'm trying to make sure I'm taking care of these
Let me pull this up.
For the greater good. But this fool said, what?
Excuse me. Chris Harris, it was from Chris Harris, just said on Sirius Radio that he didn't go to the Raiders because they wanted to keep LaMarcus Joyner and play him in the slot, and he wanted to move all over so it wasn't a fit.
Oh, hell no. I got to get up from that shit, man. You can keep talking. I ain't getting fucked up.
That is Paul Gunther in a nutshell. Like, you wonder why we can't get top tier talent between the contractual structure and your coach telling you that you can't do what you do best. We need you to stop, and we need you to play right here in this spot that does not suit what you do best. That is what Paul Gunther's tenure with the Raiders has been as defensive coordinator.
You know what? The only reason, and look, here's my thing. I know some folks have talked to me about Marcus Joyner, and they'll tell me the same thing you guys are saying right now. Joyner sucks in the spot. Joyner was solid playing back at like free safety.
That is his position, but in the slot, that is not for him. Playing in the...
I mean, you scared me. And shit, no wonder that he seemed unenthused, He didn't seem like motivated about being with the Raiders. You're not a damn Paul Gunther fan. Well, we're not going to have you move around. If you look at when Chris Harris has had his best seasons, is where he's able to constantly move from one place to the next place to the next place. Yeah, I can't stand the donkeys. I can't stand them. But the fact is, he's a good player.
Let me ask you a question, Phil.
Yeah.
How many Pro Bowls has LaMarcus Joyner been to? 0. How many Pro Bowls has Chris Harris been to? Who would you say would be the better corner, Chris slot cover man? Chris Harris, who was part of a Super Bowl winning defense, or LaMarcus Joyner, who was part of a Super Bowl losing defense?
Yeah, let me go with Chris Harris for 200, Alex.
Then why in the hell would you tell the better player that he was going to have to play back up to this scrub?
That's disrespectful in a way.
Playing the slot is what got LaMarcus Joyner kicked out of Los Angeles. The way that he played in the slot is what would have got him released from the Raiders if he wasn't $10 million worth of dead money.
And the funny thing about that, if you go back and look at that playoff run when they were going to the Super Bowl, he had his ass
chewed up week after week.
Now, Mike, I get it. We want to get younger. I get that. But you always want to carry that veteran presence in that secondary. And a guy like Chris Harris,
listen.
Look, I take it.
Listen, bro. Getting younger sounds good. Getting better is even better. Okay? When you have the opportunity to get better, you take it. When you add Chris Harris in the slot with the likes of the receivers that you see in the AFC West 6 times a year, you don't go with LaMarcus Joyner, the barbecue man, when you got Chris Harris right there waiting to come in and get the job done.
You called him the barbecue man. God damn. I'm done. He called barbecue man.
The barbecue man.
He called
A little short rib. Call him the little short ribs. That's I
he
think.
called my man the barbecue man.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, you
What
get
was the passing rating he allowed? It was probably like what?
$1 million.
It was what, 100? It was about close to like 100 and it's about nearly like a 120 passing rate he allowed. That's some college football shit right there.
For all that money, he's getting paid. No, I'm gonna look it up because we need to see this.
0.7, man. God dang. The barbecue man. Hey, look, you know what? I'm gonna put a meme on that shit. I'm gonna just make Marcus Joyner.
109 quarterbacks were ranked 109.8 throwing against him. He gave up 69.4% completions, giving up a steady 10.8 yards per completion, 7.5 yards per target with 4 touchdowns.
Ooh. Good God.
He was a solid tackler, only missed 10% of his tackles.
How many touchdowns did he give him again?
4. I think that number was a little low, but I'll go with it. So it was targeted 72 times, gave up 50 completions, and 14 games with 10 starts. Oof.
Make a meme of Carr has a T-Rex with small ass hands.
Wow.
So are we okay with Eric Harris?
I think we are. I think that in terms of this particular secondary, Eric Harris is a guy who continues to get disrespected. How much more do you need somebody to be solid and do what they need to do?
You know what's funny?
At this point, I can't even blame a defender because I know that the scheme sucks.
I think the scheme that Paul Gumper's trying to run is just too complicated.
It doesn't fit the personnel, Phil. I've been saying for years that the reason why the Raiders' defense has been terrible is because they're running the wrong defense. If you switch to 3-4, all the slow linebackers they have suddenly become faster because they don't have as much distance to cover. You usually run into trouble with the Raiders' defensive line because they only got 3 defensive linemen, not 4. Your pass rush, you got 1 pass rushing outside linebacker, and the other guy is off doing God knows what, and the guy in the middle has been the smallest guy in the field for far too damn long. Like, help yourselves. You have look, bro, check me out. You have Anthony Rush on this team. Was he great? Was he a world beater? No. But lined up over the center, he was getting a push. 1 defensive lineman. Jonathan Hankins, split him out. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying I can't deny that.
Yeah.
He was generating a solid push.
Then you had Jonathan Hankins who was solid. So now you got 2 guys. You got 2 guys getting a push. Now you only need 1 more instead of 3 more. Stand up Max Crosby. Have Cleveland Farrell alternate between standing up and getting down in the 3-point stance. All of a sudden now you got deception, subterfuge, and good old-fashioned productivity in your front 7. And all you did was stand one guy up, put another one down, and keep your strength in the middle. It's been a very simple solution for years. The last time the Raiders won a Super Bowl, they were playing a 3-4 defense.
Yeah. Evan Weaver.
Let me tell you a story about Evan Weaver. Evan Weaver is a funny guy, is a funny football guy who thinks football and a lot about football and hits everything that moves. If Evan Weaver was maybe, let's say, 20 pounds heavier and maybe, about a tenth of a second faster, America would love this guy. Football pundits everywhere would love this guy.
You said America?
America and football Americans would love this kid. America, real America, from up here in Berkeley. Kid knows only one thing: hit, play football, and win, and be sour if you lose. Going to his press conferences, watching him to talk after they lost, it's not a guy who was celebrating anything. He was pissed off that they lost. And I like to see that when I look at a football player. I want to see somebody who is not happy about losing.
You know what? I get that vibe with what's kid's name? Kwiatkowski.
And
get a similar vibe from him.
Yeah.
I looked at some of his tape from West Virginia. Jesus Christ. He plays angry.
Yeah, he does.
You were right on Kwiatkowski, bro.
Very angry. So does Weaver. And you start talking, and he loves when people start running their mouths. He loves it. Gets that good, starts carrying a boulder on his shoulder. And we'll call you out on it after he beats you. Yeah, I remember when the quarterback from Washington State was running his mouth. He don't look like he's running his mouth right now, does he? Go Bears.
I'm going to say this right here. One person that needs to show more aggression this year, Clayton Farrell.
I could have thought of a few others, but I'll go with that one too.
No, I mean, that's one I'm just, kind of throwing out there.
I don't think aggression was his problem. I think that he was used improperly. He was trying to think too much to get accustomed to the scheme. They moved him all over, and we'll buy into the sickness excuse. I saw him before he got sick, and I thought that he wasn't physically ready for the league.
You think that bug that he caught, that was, it was hella bad.
Well, it's not just that it was hella bad, and in all fairness, when I saw him, it was at training camp, and I'll be 100% honest with you. That Raiders line was the biggest line I've ever seen. Some motherfuckers were huge.
Hey, somebody asked me if Arden Key's still alive.
Somewhere eating Slim Fast.
Somewhere eating a Slim Fast. Shit.
Somewhere drinking Slim Fast. Because he sure ain't putting on no damn weight.
Hey, you know what's funny last year? Arden Key said, "Yeah, man, I'm at 50." Who are you lying to?
Bruh, let me tell you something.
Who are you lying to?
Let me tell you. No.
Hey, I need the accurate weight and size of the players.
No.
We need Arden Key's weight. Yeah, Arden Key is actually 239. What in the?
Yep. And when I saw him at training camp, that's exactly what he looked like. Didn't I tell you? I was like, this dude looked like he about 235, 240 tops. He ain't gained no. He looked like he should be playing basketball.
When I first saw Arden Key, I looked at him. I said, "Damn, I'm gonna put you on one of them Feed the Children commercials. Mama, feed me. Feed me now."
For just $20 a day, you can put some weight on Arden Key. You can help this starving LSU football player become the player he always wanted to be in the pros with just a $20 donation to feed Arden Key. Let me get shot for one of these, I know.
I was like, damn, man. They ain't feeding you at Raiders at the facilities? They're not feeding you?
I mean, what you want me to tell you, Phil?
I think Arden Key's gonna need to eat with one of the D tackles.
Bruh been there for been there for 2 years now. If he can't crack 250 by this year, it's just not gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's just not gonna happen. I'm like, you're now talking about you've been in the NFL with the NFL Strength and Development Program for 2 years, 2 off seasons, and you still ain't 250. That's who you are. So you need to play a different position.
I just want to go back. I'm gonna go back and read this real quick. Read what Tom Pelissero just said.
Oh.
Like earlier this evening.
Which time?
That is a fast about Mariota. This is back like around like 5:30 my time. But he was like, it's a fascinating deal that also include a mountain of incentives and escalators that will pay Marcus Mariota starting money if he plays and has success. So yeah, that max value is $37.5 million. Damn.
Gets up to $2.4 million if he plays 60% of the snaps in 2020. Another $1.5 million is available in per game playing time and win incentives. Has $10 million in those incentives available in 2021. Also, a $2 million in playoff/Super Bowl incentives each year, plus $12 million in 2021 salary escalator. So some of these incentives and escalators overlap, meaning they can only be earned once. So max value for Marcus Mariota over 2 years, as Pelissero tweeted, is 37.5, and that was Mike Garofalo clearing up the last little tidbit of Mariota's contract.
Okay.
So this, and it's funny because now you see guys coming out with the hate sprinkles, and it's like, dude, I don't know what you guys are watching. Mariota has never been bad. He's had some tough situations, but he's won. He's won everywhere that he's been.
No, that's real. And no, man, fix the camera. Sorry, you guys. I was like, damn. It was like up, down, side to side.
Uptown Funk is where Anywho, so where's that leave us, Phil?
So, we've been having a lot of fans go on and say, hey, I ain't on the Henny tonight, okay? Look, calm down with that. But look, we've been having a lot of fans
I need some.
jump around and saying, oh, I don't like this sign. I don't like that signing. I didn't like Eli Apple signing. I'm like,
well, let's talk about Eli Apple for a second. Eli Apple is a great physical young corner who plays sticky press man-to-man coverage. He had a bad, ugly situation with his mom. I mean, we all know about that. He got out of that situation. He started doing his own thing in New Orleans and had a solid year. He had a solid year enough to get offered a prove-it deal by the Raiders. We need corners. We need young corners, and we need corners that can that play complementary football. And his skill set is one that complements Trayvon Mullen's nicely. Trayvon Mullen is an attacking type of player. He likes to play off and come on, or he likes to play that stingy man-to-man defense. And quite frankly, if you're going to continue to have LaMarcus Joyner in the slot, you need guys who can man up on the outside because LaMarcus needs help. They got better linebackers, better pass coverage linebackers. So once again, you're now eliminating space in the defense. So he only has to be responsible for playing his area or doing what it is that they need him to do. It's for $6 million. This is a good signing. You wanted 32-year-old Jimmy Smith? Arguably, they had the same season.
Yeah, I mean, you look at
But Jimmy Smith has ran his course. He's on the back nine of his career. Eli Apple can still get better. We look at this guy. We approach this guy like this is the finished product, like that's all you're gonna get. And I know I got to keep that same energy for the latest pick, but we'll get to him in a second. Eli.
Well, hold on. The whole thing is this. See, everybody jumps down Eli Apple's throat. But this guy only gave him 2 touchdowns last year.
How many?
Only 2.
How many?
2.
So you point out to me any one of these guys that made all this money this offseason, the Byron Jones, James Bradbury, Kendall Fuller,
About 4 touchdowns.
and who had less than 2 touchdowns given up all season? The guy that we got for $6 million on a 1-year deal.
I think everybody's jumping on how shit went down with Eli Apple when he was with the Giants. But when he was with New Orleans the past 2 seasons, hey, he was not that bad. He was the number 2 guy when Lattimore. When Lattimore got hurt, he took Lattimore's spot. I mean, he did solid. He was solid. I'm not calling him a number 1, but he's good enough to be a number 2.
You look at the stats that Trayvon Mullen put up, and we like to look at the times that he was burnt. I like to look at the PBUs that he got and the interceptions that he narrowly missed because he was learning the league and he was timing the league. And sometimes, in order to be able to get those passes, you got to be willing to risk getting burned.
Here's my one thing I will say about Eli Apple. The thing is, he's a young guy. He's still young. It's his confidence level. Eli Apple, he can be a motivated kid, but he needs to stay confident through those last couple of games during the season. That's the thing. If he can do that, Eli Apple can be great. And if Eli Apple outplays his contract, then a lot of folks are going to be looking like, well, damn, we were going on
Great signing.
When he was with the Giants.
Great signing, yeah.
Then, like I said, when that second year of the Giants, I mean, there was a lot of shit. There was a lot of turmoil going on. Oh, y'all trifling. Y'all love some Eli Apple's mama. You know what? Y'all leave that man mama alone. Leave his mama alone.
I'll be your daddy.
Leave his mama alone.
So
man.
it
Hey,
did.
don't be talking about Darius Slade, wife. Because look, you saw how fast he can run after getting shook for 5 yards and then someone breaking off about 20 yards. He'll catch him.
Have to take my chances, bro.
Johnny, you wild, man.
I have to take my chances.
Hey, this man was like, yeah, she can be my number 1 corner. Yeah, let's get back to football.
Yikes.
Hey, everybody, we needed that.
I
I mean,
guess
he
so.
ain't bashing like Eli Apple's mama. I mean, you saw that workout. I was like,
You said bashing, right?
we ain't bashing her.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure you didn't say
Some of
smashing.
y'all probably be like, let me stop.
Not finna bash. Not finna say nothing about that man's mother. In fact, we should probably stop.
We gonna talk positive about that man's mama.
Very, very highly. But anyway, yeah.
So let's get back to business. I mean, if you look at what the Raiders have accomplished in free agency, you hit the keys. You hit the linebacker position that we needed. You look like you keep Nicholas Morrow. You got Markel Lee. You got your DN spots set up. You got your D tackle spots kind of squared away. most likely you're gonna look at the Raiders bringing back Deion Jordan. So I mean, your defense is looking a little bit better than what you had. And I'm gonna be real. I wouldn't be shocked if the Raiders bring back Daryl Worley, probably about on a 1-2 year deal, but not with the money he was looking for. This man was looking probably about maybe $2 or $3 million less than what Byron Jones is making. TJ Carey, you want to know where he went to? He went to the shadow realm. He got banished.
We're still waiting to see where he turns up.
I'm just saying, you guys, look.
Absolutely.
I'm not paying a stack ton of money to a guy that got his ass cooked by a certain wide receiver in Tennessee. I'm just saying. Hold up. I'm here's comments. Y'all funny.
I mean, you could read the comments, but tell me your thoughts on Nelson Aguilar. The last. Go ahead.
While I'm hearing Nelson Aguilar is like garbage, I was talking to some Philly fans. They're like, "Hey, yo, man, hey, fuck Nelson Aguilar, man. Your motherfucker calls the Philadelphia Eagles this spot and that spot, man." And I'm looking, I'm like, oh, damn. Like, I'm thinking Nelson Aguilar had about, like, 8 or 9 drops. I go and do the research, look at the film. He's only had 4 drops against him. Mm-hmm. You look at some of the passes that Carson went through to him, you're like, what the hell? Overthrew him or had him, like, trying to turn his body around awkwardly for the pass?
A few of these catches were contested.
That's on Carson. A lot of it was on Carson Wentz. And that's true. Philly fans they're really not that smart.
I mean, I had one Philly fan tell me that he was gonna go and buy Nelson Aguilar's jersey because he knew he couldn't catch the coronavirus wearing that.
Oh hell no! You know what? That just. Did you say that one more time?
I said my boy told me he was about to go and purchase a Nelson Aguilar jersey, so because he knew that when he wore it, there was no way on earth he was going to catch the coronavirus.
You know, I'm done with these damn Eagles fans. I guess I was wrong.
Oh man, when he told me that, Phil, I was dying. And then he sent me that video that I may or may not have circulated around of those 4 egregious drops. Where it was.
And it kind of helped you win the Super Bowl.
And so I reached out to our dear good friend Rob Carpenter to see what he thought about that and what he told.
How's Rob doing?
Rob's doing well. He's out there doing him, keeping a low pro and ear to the streets and just doing his thing. And, I wanted to make sure that I wasn't just going in with a biased fan opinion. And I consulted with a pro. And what he told me is that he gave me the change of scenery speech. And so I asked him, what exactly does that mean? Because, we say change of scenery and it can mean one thing. But as a pro, what does that actually do for you? And what he told me was that the chatter stops. You leave the place, nobody knows what you can do, nobody's seen what you can do. Some people ask, but all you have to do is just play. And sometimes being able to focus on just playing allows you to get back to what it is that you do best, and that is be the wide receiver who can get a mountain of separation. If you look and when you put on his tape, Nelson Aguilar can get open. That is one thing. That is his catching may be suspect and subject of ridicule, but one thing that is lock solid across the board is that he can get open. He can separate from defenders.
He can get the separation. He can get open. Okay. And to be honest, that was one of the complaints we kept
Some of that was true. Some of that was a little bit of the standing, but I mean, in grand scheme of things, they could have, because when that report got ran, they were what, the second highest in separation, and they endured a bit of some of the Carson Wentz-esque errant passes that were led back into defenders and pulled back into zone coverages. Not thrown in pockets correctly. Ball placement was a little askew. But it's one of those things, Phil.
And look, from what I can say multiple times, look at what this team has right now. This team has enough to be like, hey, Raiders can get it done. Raiders had guys last year where, I mean, let's be real.
The Raiders were poised to do it last year.
They were
6-4. 6-4.
After you got done with Chicago, after you got done with the Texans, after that Texans game you won, they were still.
They didn't beat the Texans.
So my whole thing is this: if you were that close to that team last year to get to the playoffs, this year with your new additions, your better upgrades on the linebacking core, add another receiver, you add Jason Witten in your tight end group. I'm gonna just be real with you guys right now. I see Derek Carey literally the odd man out, especially with you signing O'Leary. So you're gonna roll with 4 tight ends this year. And then, that being said, your O-line, everybody's coming back basically healthy, but I feel like Gabe Jackson is the odd man out. You bring back good, and then the last thing you're looking at, I think they're going to just go on and re-sign Daryl Worley. But you know what? If you bring back Daryl Worley, bring Daryl Worley back at safety. But other than that, I mean, that's pretty much it.
Have you seen the drills of Tua doing his drop back drills and throw, showing off that hip?
You know what? I have not.
I'm actually sitting here looking at it right now. He looks pretty fluid in his movement. He looks healthy. So we're gonna see.
Would you trade up for Tua?
No.
If Tua skipped down, would you take him at 12?
Whoo! If he skipped down, would I take him at 12?
That's a lot to think about right now. If Tua's sitting there at 12, I mean, let's be real. Okay, let's say Jordan Love moved up, and hey, Miami just said, after we're going to take Jordan Love.
I don't see that. No, they're not going to take Jordan Love over Tua. Tua got 2 more.
Now, we've seen some wild shit in the draft, haven't we?
Now we have seen some wildness, but
shit, the Jets taking a kicker in the first round.
Hey, listen, when the Raiders did it, they got 37 years, 180 years out of Janikowski, a solid kicking.
I mean, but hey, that's Janikowski. That man, leader of points. But I get what you're saying.
I'm looking. So here's what I'll say about this. Here's what I'll say about this.
I'm talking over you.
Yeah, you're not watching. I need to send you this video of Tua and what you.
Send me the video.
Huh?
Send me the video. But you know what? If I'm looking at this video, what you're telling me, man, I don't know. You're gonna have me doing something.
Yeah, I don't see the Dolphins passing on this at all.
So tell me this. With the talk of the Chargers going just with Tyrod Taylor, so right there you're going to have Justin Herbert still available. You're going to have Jordan Love still available.
He did that as a left hand. Hold on, I'm looking at his. I'm looking at his feet. He's a left-handed QB, but he still sets up with his left foot forward instead of back. I don't particularly care for that, but that looks like that's something that he clearly feels comfortable doing, because it's causing him to open his hips up a little too early.
So maybe that might have to do with the hips still, that just recovery, you just trying to rebuild it.
Well, I'm watching his footwork, and it looks fine, because you got to remember he's a lefty, so it looks opposite of what you're used to seeing. But his steps are good. His steps are measured. They're where they're supposed to be. His planting is good. It's just his first step is from forward to it's all the way back. It's not a quick step. It's a long one, and it's just kind of weird. Yeah, it almost looks like he's setting up for a reverse pivot with on a pitch.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch this. I gotta really break this down. I gotta see it from my own eyes.
Yeah,
but I'm not putting you down or anything. I'm just like.
Yeah, no, I agree. You need to watch it.
Watch quarterback tape. Get you a nice glass of
cognac.
Watch some good quarterback tape. That's all I want to do.
Yeah, that's what I do on my off days.
What if? Think about it, Phil. What if Miami says, "Hey, we're going to take Herbert. Chargers don't take Tua." What do you do?
I don't see that happening, bro.
But hypothetically, I know. Let's just take it on a wild run.
What do they do if they don't go with Tua? And I'm thinking they're adding to the line.
Let's be real here.
That would be.
Line is still not up to par.
Yeah.
And it's still not unsatisfactory.
No, you got to go line. They got to go line.
You need a tackle. You need a right tackle.
Yep.
So my whole thing is this. You look at the Chargers. They could take Tua.
They need a left tackle too.
But you look at them just preaching and saying, "We're going with Tyrod Taylor."
Listen. And Derek Carr is going to be the starting quarterback in Las Vegas forever, right? So that happens until Tua is sitting there at 6 saying, "Take me." Good videos like the one I'm watching that you're going to get a chance to sit down and break down is going to have people legitimately sitting down watching this 9-second clip for hours. And when you pair this and you give him some more drill, listen. My problem with Tua was I didn't think he'd be ready. I'm looking at him, and he's looking like he's on the track to being ready. And now and I kept it 100, and I said, if he's ready to go, I'll revisit it. Now I need to continue to see him do his thing and make sure and go through a pro day style workout or whatnot.
I say Anthony Gordon. Somebody just asked me who do I see as a sleeper quarterback? I was like, maybe Anthony Gordon.
Anthony Gordon is good. Anthony Gordon can throw the football. He can find an open guy, get rid of it quickly, and tuck it and run. He tore up Cal. They didn't win.
I mean, that's Cal.
What's that?
But yeah, I get what your point is.
Yeah. That was my opportunity to see him live, and that's really all that I can judge, because we knew that Cal's defense was good.
Yeah. So, Phil, I got a message.
Oh.
We might be getting some solid Raider news coming in tomorrow. So, we might need to come back on tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow evening.
It's all good. You know me, I'm always down to talk Raider football
All right.
with all the guys and let them know.
But hey, that being said, you guys, that's gonna be the end of Unfiltered Truth. I appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. I know you guys are just going through withdrawals, no football, no sports in general. If you got ESPN 8, the Ocho, damn, they need to be promoting our shows.
They really should be. I mean, we keep it going. Got an hour of good content from us of compelling football talk.
So, hey, you guys can remember, you can recap the show on YouTube for IE Sports Radio. We also have our YouTube platform, The Unfiltered Truth. You guys can catch the show recap on Spotify, Google Play Music, just look in the podcast area, SoundCloud. We're on iHeartRadio as well. We're all over the damn global world. Shoot, everybody in China is listening to us. China. Can you hear it? China. China's listening to us. We're everywhere.
Global.
And I appreciate it.
Worldwide. That's the.
Me and Phil Thompson are blessed that each and every you guys are tuning in all over the world listening to our show. So
thank you.
That being said, you guys take care. God bless. We'll see you guys maybe tomorrow.
Maybe tomorrow. Definitely by Friday. So as always, God bless.